So I still let me tell you something real quick, Caroline. That our intro, we have several different ones. I made this one for this season. I keep forgetting to take it back down and add like a little slide out. It just kind of is like boom. It just cuts it off and it's like, oh, here we are. We're here tonight. Okay, here we go. So
So intense.
right. So it's that's and my partners who are not here tonight with us, they keep telling me about it. They keep telling me, but they love it. We all get sucked into it. You know, we're just like, oh, it's really cool and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's done. So sorry for the abruptness. We have a few more, and I was debating which one to bring on tonight to impress you with, because with your credentials. But we'll get to that later. Okay.
Okay.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, actually.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting week for me, for sure. But tonight it's Wednesday. We're over the hump.
Right.
So
My
I'm
kids
okay
were
with
telling me that earlier. They were like, Dad, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. And that means it's just around the corner for the weekend. I was like, kid, I'm following you.
I'm
I
so
totally
excited
am.
for the
Yeah.
weekend.
So let me open up with something. I was cooking dinner tonight,
Mhm.
and I haven't had steak in quite a while, not because I didn't want to, but because the prices have been pretty crazy. When you have a family of 5, you don't get to really indulge in some things sometimes. But I found some steak recently, and I was like, I'm gonna get a steak. So I went ahead and cooked it tonight, ate it, and as I'm eating it, I'm watching something on YouTube. You ever seen those fails videos?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, whenever I go through social media and when I start watching it kind of sucks you in. Like,
It
what
really does, and I'm careful about that, but I do grant myself some time. So I knew we were coming on. I was like, I'll watch a little bit and then I can stop, so that I have an encouragement. But I'm watching there and I'm realizing some of the stuff that people do in these fail videos really, really grinds my gears, Carolyn.
oh man.
Let me just tell you, we're not going to go deep into this, but let me tell you, I'm watching. What's happening, Joe?
How's it going?
Nap in, huh?
Do what?
You got your nap in, huh?
I got my nap in, and I apologize for my tardiness. So I just wanted to make sure that you didn't have to run the show by yourself.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. We were just talking about, I was just about to start talking about grind gear, something that grind my gears. Okay. So be thinking of something for you too.
Okay.
All right. So I'm watching these fails videos, and I was just talking to my wife about this. One of the things that really grinds my gears, Carolyn, and everyone else, is when I see, I'm going to say young people, okay? Just young people. When I say young people damage, break, or destroy something that isn't theirs, especially if it's like something in the vehicle or property that their parents have to manage and take care of. And when they destroy it or break it, and then they laugh their heads off about it, it absolutely drives me nuts. And I can't sit there and just laugh with it. Because I'm like, someone's got to fix that. Someone has to pay for that. And more likely, it's not you. It's mom and dad, or a janitor, or principal, or a teacher, or whatever you want to say. Someone's got to go there and fix it and clean it and all this stuff. And they're there on the video, laughing their little heads off. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not funny. Maybe when I was younger, it was funny. I don't know. Anyway, so that's one of them. Another one was I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, when people, so I'm going to swing to the other side. When I see people who obviously look like, and maybe age-wise, shouldn't be doing things they should. And I'm going to poke at Joe for a second. Not like, so when I see someone, not like you, Joe, but more ancient, who's like on a skateboard.
So ancient and then more.
No. He's a good-looking old guy, but I'm talking about an ancient person. Like when they're on a skateboard going downhill at like 40 miles an hour, and you're like, you're totally gonna break something, man. And then they do, and it's like, why are you doing that? Anyway, so just a couple of little things that were grinding my gears earlier as I was watching these fail videos. So what about you, Carolyn? Do you have something that grinds your gears, that there's little things that just really irk you and you feel like, that's really a little bit annoying to me?
Okay, there's definitely a couple of things. I have to think about it. So as you were talking, I'm just like, those are some pretty intense stuff. First of all, like, well, you're talking about the old people. I'm like, I go to EDM concerts still, and like the older people. I'm like, it's really cool, and it's also kind of like you're still really out of place right now. But you know what? You do you. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
For me though, so it's like so when people say, "Can I borrow a piece of paper?" Right. So it's really more like,
can I have
a piece of paper, right? When they say, "Can I borrow a piece of paper?" I'm like, okay, but like, are you gonna give it back to me? Because you're clearly not. And like, I don't know why it grinds my gears, but it's just it's always been that way since like grade school, right? And then
So never ask if I can borrow a stick of gum from you either, right?
not borrow gum from me. I won't be holding gum. Do not borrow gum from me because I really don't want it back.
Got it. And I'm following you. I feel you actually. I can sympathize with that gear. So I'd be like, yeah.
So and then the other thing, so kind of like a little bit of background. We were talking about this earlier. I used to model like semi-professionally, so I kind of know like the ins and outs and like what's real, what's not real. When people use selfie filters, like the Snapchat selfie filters, and I'm not talking about like the ears or whatever, but like
where they super smooth the skin, and they add the makeup and they plump their lips.
Right.
Yes.
It's like you don't look that way, it's catfish filters. Like I don't care if you use Photoshop to like touch up the lighting, because I get it. Like I get like if you have bad lighting, your skin tone's a certain way, but like you use the filter to like or the cat ears or the panda ears, but then you use the filter to like put makeup on you, get rid of all the wrinkles. Like I mean, it shouldn't grind my gears. It sounds really like superficial, but it's just kind of like, man, I know it's fake. Like I know you don't look that way. Why can't you just love yourself for what you actually look like and just be happy? Be happy.
Ooh, I think I don't know if I told you earlier, but Joe's actually a professional photographer, and a really I don't know if he'll say this, but I'll say it, Caroline. He's really, really, really good. Okay, like he is up there. Okay,
I spend a lot of money.
I mean, he has the greatest iPhone you've ever seen. So the pictures are amazing. Okay,
like I spend a lot of money on photography. So no, I totally understand that, and it's funny that you say that because I just recently did a pageant headshot for someone, and I did way more editing than I would ever do on someone else's photo. Just because that's how the pageant world is. It's like, like they just super go crazy on it, and I felt like it was way overdone, but they liked it. So they're like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for." And I was like, "Okay, right." She still had pores.
Like, I'm gonna save that as Barbie World.
She still had pores, and her skin wasn't like super ceramic or anything like that, but it just was a level that I felt was way beyond. So my main thing is like I hope people don't associate that level of editing with what I do all the time, and we should be able to tell the difference between those. So yeah, I totally understand it.
Right. There's a line. I feel like there's a line. There's
absolutely. Yeah.
The professional line. Again, I used to model, so I understand the brushing and then the editing and working with photographers and stuff. And then there's Snapchat. I think for me it's just Snapchat. Like your skin is not blue. Like your skin is really not that red.
Right.
Like,
I can tell because you these facial expressions. You were like, I can tell it's intense for you. So
like you're not you like I did this, for a little bit, and like
so is it? Let me ask
you. Like it's not.
Is it like everyday use, or is it for the modeling type environment?
Like. So
both.
The Snapchat filter?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the everyday use of like, if you want to put the stars and stuff, I guess that's cool. But like,
it's some people start making money, or they start representing themselves in a different way.
Yes.
Or they're using themselves to, they use their Snapchat to promote themselves as this gorgeous person, and then you see them in real life, and you're like, oh, that's different.
Right.
Ouch.
And then you have what's it called? Social media dysmorphia, right? Like you
Oh,
looking that way.
Yeah.
And then then other people will look at you, especially if you become an influencer, and then people think it's like, oh, this is what I have
Oh,
to be.
Carolyn,
Right.
you hit the nail on the head with that for me because I have two young daughters, right?
Right.
I have a 12 and a 14-year-old, and my 14-year-old, she had a little phase with that, and she still has like little seasonings of that come out. My younger one, that's something that not the dysmorphia, but she sees them, and she does sometimes think, that's pretty, and it's like, baby girl, that's not pretty. That's
No, it's not.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not saying that's ugly. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm telling you, you're pretty, you're beautiful.
Right.
You are amazing. And so it's a battle with the kiddos sometimes, and it's just like, man. But
And it's what's crazy. It's battles that you and I never even never even knew about in the day.
nope,
Like we never had to worry about that.
nope.
It's a whole different level for them now.
Right.
Kind of like airbrush back in the day for Playboy magazines. I don't know. I never read a Playboy magazine.
I don't know either. So send the pictures, Joanne, to Joe's way so we'll review them. Right? I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Okay, no.
What?
Look who's joining. So Debbie Schmeiser. Hey, Mama. So Debbie Schmeiser is a friend of the show. Her son has come on, and oh my gosh, Carolyn, her son. I don't even know what's wrong with him. I'm just going to tell you this little tidbit about him. His name is Dr. Ben Schmeiser. Okay, he has here in Normal. He has a YouTube channel. He has a PhD in linguistics, but he runs a YouTube channel that's called That Cologne Guy, where he reviews colognes and perfumes.
Yeah.
He was one of our first guests.
Awesome.
It is, Carolyn. And at the time when we were first starting out, we were like, we'll bring him on. And I was like, guys, I got this guy who runs his own YouTube show. And they're like, okay, what is it about? And I was like, colognes and perfumes. And he was like,
yeah, we were like,
what?
really?
I was like, I know it's not all that, but let's just give him a chance. I really, he's got his own YouTube channel. And they were
I
like,
wanna see
okay.
it now. My
I'll
fiance
share it
loves
with you later. But he came on, Carolyn, and the three of us, Sandy, who's not with us tonight, the three of us were like smiling ear to ear through the whole thing. And if you go back and watch the video, you'll just see us. We're just like wide-eyed, and he's just talking.
We're like blown away by his knowledge of sense.
Absolutely amazing. And not just sense, but like the market and what goes into making it and how the world and
yeah. I had no idea there were seasonal scents. I was like, what are you talking about? What?
And he was like oil versus water base and how many times you put it on and where to put it on depending on.
Yeah, it's
oh
amazing.
Man,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, Dr. Ben, YouTube channel is at That Cologne Guy. I will share it with you after the show, Carolyn. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
So and again, this is his mother, and she's visiting us tonight.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. Hey, John. And then Joanne saying, "Yeah, right, dudes." About giving the Playboys
the Playboy comment.
Sorry, that was a little. Yeah,
I was a Boy Scout growing up.
I'm still a Boy Scout, so So Carolyn, why don't you tell everyone out there a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I was born and raised in LA, actually. So I live here in Michigan, so the suburbs of Michigan. But I've actually lived basically in every region in the US except the South, which hopefully I will one day. I currently work as a supplier quality engineer for Rivian. So for people who don't know what Rivian is, they are an electric vehicle company, like focusing on adventure vehicles such as the trucks and the SUVs and like all the outdoor and, trying to save the world. Literally, like our mission is to try to save the world using, like by reducing our carbon footprint. So I work in quality now, but actually my engineering background has been primarily in design and analysis, specifically in the automotive and the aerospace industries. So just 10 years of using finite element analysis to basically predict when the car or the aircraft is going to fail or explode or, just every little type of failure, like even something as small as like some of the things I tested was like, is if I spill coffee on this thing, is it going to break? Like that's like something as little as that to like, the wings more or less like failing. So I guess a little bit outside of my career, I'm not trying to sound arrogant. Like But
No, don't. I mean, go ahead.
I take care of all of that. I take care of all of that, so you're fine.
I cooked a steak earlier.
Yeah,
it was good too.
I was able to tie a shoe earlier, and my dog, I gave him.
Way to go, Joe! Way to go, man!
I want a dog.
I gave them snacks without them biting me, so I guess that's something.
Good job! No, tell us more. Seriously, you were just. Yeah.
So I'm really not trying to sound arrogant, but I do consider myself like a modern day polymath. So like I have degrees, so I know that when I was asked to do the show, I have degrees in astrophysics, which is like one of my biggest passion. Music.
She said degrees, y'all, and she just started with astrophysics, so I don't know where we're going from here.
She also said degrees plural. More than one. Like even more than two is what it sounds like it's coming. So we might as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
So it's music, astrophysics, mechanical engineering, and aerospace engineering. So I've got.
I use a calculator.
I like to learn. Like
I use a calculator.
I'm not in school is actually like really. I don't know. Like I'm thinking about going back to school. So maybe one day, maybe after I get married, I don't know.
She's
like,
going back to school.
Yeah, maybe get my PhD in nuclear astrophysics. But that's a dream. Maybe it won't happen. I don't know.
Is it okay to ask when you got your first degree?
I got that in 2009. So.
Okay.
That was the both astrophysics and music degree. So I went to Pomona College. I was actually there on a music leadership scholarship. So not for astrophysics. I played volleyball there for a little bit.
What?
And you're like,
that's it. I'm out of here. I can't handle this.
There's like volleyballs in the background, so I still actually play. And I coach volleyball now.
Oh my goodness.
But I thought I was going to be a doctor, just like, every good Asian Filipino
child, every Asian child,
that's supposed to do. I realized in like the last, I don't know, like I think the first semester, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So that's when I decided I'm going to pursue more of the astrophysics, and I got my degree in 2009. Got my engineering degree, my first engineering degree in 2011, and I got my master's in 2017. So why is this like basic? I'm sorry.
I graduated.
I'm not sure what to say.
I graduated high school.
Yeah. I started a web show. And we're not comparing. We just have this running gag on the show, Carolyn, that's like
sprinkles of talent and knowledge were on everybody except us. So it just goes around.
But with you, it's like they literally took the cap off. No. They didn't even take the cap off. They're like, don't even put it in the bottle. Just bring it and just pour it. Just keep it going. God was like, I'll tell you when to stop. Don't worry. And then he kind of just left the room.
Are you a libero? Were you a libero?
I was a libero in college.
You know why I know this?
I'm 5'1".
You know why I know this? Because there's no tall Asians.
No, I have a friend. So he was a setter in the army. He's 6'3".
Oh, no.
Filipino,
Females.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, what is this? Libero? Is that what you said?
Libero. So they are like they are all over the court, basically. So they're the ones responsible to make sure that the ball doesn't hit the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A position in the volleyball court.
So here's where my age kind of comes in. So the libero position was implemented like relatively recently, like in the 2000s or something like that. In high school, they did not have the libero, so I played outside.
Oh.
So I had to keep up with the tall girls to make sure I was a starter. So I wasn't one of the starters, but I had to like work 20 times harder than the other girls so that I can actually have a position in the squad and actually have playing
awesome.
time.
So what question? Do you watch Haiku?
Yes.
Wait a minute, you watch anime too?
Dude, like I was telling Jaime earlier, like I watched I went to Comic-Con, but like I dressed up as like all these other players or like, all these characters. So I did Chun-Li last year, and then I was if you guys have watched Food Wars, so I think I told you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
so I dressed up as oh crap. The the princess, the one with the god tongue. I forgot her name already.
Oh,
I know
yes.
the
Yep,
blonde-haired
exactly.
girl,
Yep,
the
I
main
know exactly who you're talking
female
about.
character.
The main lead, yes, the main female lead. And then my fiance was the oh crap,
Soma?
Not Soma. I actually asked him to be Soma. He ended up dressing as the guy who always had the Kuma bear like apron.
Oh yeah, his the guy who was one of the bad guys.
Right.
Yeah, and then became his friend or something.
Yeah. So I do watch Haikyuu. So I actually got my fiance. I got him into volleyball too. So I got him into watching anime.
Oh my goodness, Caroline is like the coolest guest we've ever had.
I don't know about that.
The coolest. She has to be. We need to replace
anime,
Sandy.
astrophysics.
Sandy.
Yeah, I guess I haven't grilled me yet.
Sandy's not gonna like hearing that part.
I know.
He said it only because she's not watching and she's not here yet.
Right,
so
exactly.
So
oh my gosh! So she would. Get
I'm gonna stop, Carolyn. Okay,
because we're talking about. Oh my.
Yeah,
goodness,
I'm like, hold up right now for a minute. Let me let everything kind of flow in and be like, okay, where do I start?
Big Bang Theory person. It's just.
She's got she knows. Okay.
Well, so first of all, when you say I'm talented, it's not talent. I think it's passion because I find things in everything I do and everything I'm exposed to, and I find ways to like it, and I find ways to be passionate about it. So that's like including like everything I mentioned, the volleyball, I play poker, I'm a video gamer, like, and again, the food blog, like, I just find passion in everything I do, and like, I make it a point in my life to find, like,
I know,
every year,
why are we even here? What do we do?
Every year I find a new hobby, and I don't necessarily, I find a new hobby every year just to make sure, like, you know what, am I really living my life right now?
So she's taking advantage of the dash. Like the year that you're born and the year you die, that dash for her,
it's
like,
being filled.
It's like
right?
filled up.
I think every mother watching right now is like, can she be my daughter, please?
Oh my God.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. And you play violin too, right?
Yes, I'm a violin.
Oh my gosh, this Asian stereotype all the way.
You see a piano in the background? I'm a big fan. There's a piano there. I started with piano, stopped, and then my mom's like, you got to play the violin. I'm like, well, what if I want to play the cello? She's like, no, you got to play the violin. So you can prance around your violin and take it everywhere so you can play it for everybody. Which I do, by the way. I still do. I'm playing in like 3 weddings this year.
Oh my God.
Did you know one of his favorite artists is Lindsay Sterling?
It's my favorite artist of all time.
Are you serious? I've seen her like 4 or 5 times already. Every time she comes up this way, I'm like, oh, we're going.
Every time she comes up with a new album, I go see her. I don't care if it's lawn seats. I don't care if it's VIP. And then there was the one time she was touring with Evanescence, and I grew up with like listening
with
to Evanescence.
what was her name? Yes, so her Artemis record just freaking blew my mind. I'm like, man, this woman is amazing. And so her newest shows, she's doing all those acrobats in the air with her freaking violin. She went on America's Got Talent, right? And they told her she wasn't talented enough.
Yeah,
and they're like, when you can play the violin suspended in the air and doing all these tricks, then maybe you're talented enough. And this last year at her Christmas concert, that's what she's doing. You're like, she's in a ring upside down, going in circles. It's amazing. It's oh man, and she's playing the violin upside down.
You know, whenever I go to a Lindsay Sterling concert, people are like, "Is this like auto tune? Is this fake?" I'm like, she can't fake that.
No, she's awesome.
She's like she's really good. And again, because I have a trained ear in the violin, like you can tell when she's like pitchy, or you can tell when she's like rushing things. But like for the untrained ear, like that's a great show. Like,
yeah.
Untrained ear right here.
Yeah. But it's those little things, but like you can't, again, it's like with anything that like you're good at, like you can't help but like nitpick things, and it is what it is. Like,
right. So there's a couple of comments I just want to highlight real quick for you, Carolyn. So earlier, right now, we had Stephanie Marie Trujillo Sneed. If I said that right, I'm sorry. I didn't say that right. I'm sorry.
Hi, Stephanie.
I'm sure she's one of your friends, right? So she was just saying Carolyn's a jack of all trades. And then we just got another comment here from Jessica Widenko. I hope I said that right too. Caroline Fernandez, you have a serious love for life. Never stop with your amazing eagerness to learn and contribute as you do. Heart.
Oh.
And then Stephanie's coming back saying, good job. And
thanks, guys.
As far as saying her name, that's what she
Oh, okay. Nice.
That's
Um,
what she's trying to say.
okay, so let me help everyone kind of some backstory here real quick. Back in season 1 of the Social and Distancing show when we came out 2 years ago, we had a bunch of guests that were always coming on. I thought it would be fun for us to do a 7 Dimensions of Wellness series. So we invited people to come on and talk. One of those was the spiritual wellness. After each episode, we'd ask our guests to give us a topic for a future episode. Nick Neergarter was the name of the gentleman who came on to talk about the spiritual, oh my gosh, help me out, spiritual thing
Wellness.
of wellness. Yes. Sorry. And at the end of the show, he said, find like a physicist. He says, I want you to find a physicist, bring a physicist on, because he knew how much I loved science and stuff. And I was like, oh. And I remember my reaction. I was so excited. Unfortunately, practically finding people to come on as physicists was not as exciting. No one answered back and no one came back. I saw Caroline's at our job. We both work at Rivian. I saw that she was highlighted as one of the women in Women's History Month. And I was like, she's a physicist. And I was like, she plays a violin? She's got a food blog? I was like, holy jeez, please answer my message. And she sure enough did. And we have been working to make this happen. She travels a ton. Caroline, I'm so happy that you came here tonight to hang out with us. I mean, it's already 27 minutes in, and we haven't even touched on all the things that you do, but we have. I mean, it's just, you're absolutely stupendously amazing. So
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
yeah. So here's the thing. I want to touch on the astrophysics stuff a little bit and the food blogging. I know that there's some topics you want to talk about, and I want to make sure to do that. So before we get into what I want to do, I want to bring up some of the topics that you wanted to talk to us about first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before the show, I wrote some of those down, excuse me, so that way I wouldn't forget. And so
I think I forgot some of them already.
that's okay. I'm going to help you out. So we can get the big one, because we're already 30 minutes in. Let's get the big one, which is you have a big heart for women in STEM, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me some backdrop, why that's such a passion. I don't know if it's fair to say passion project or just dear to your heart.
Yeah. So you were talking about the Women's History Month that was promoted with Rivian. So they actually highlighted the women, Rivian's Women's Network. So I'm a big part of that. I'm one of the site leaders there.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's just from my journey. Maybe I should back up a bit. So you may or may not know, but like women in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, math, there's few and far between women in general. Like for some reason you have like what you'll see in papers and just research and articles and all that, what you'll see is that we have women going into these fields, so like whether as a student, and then you'll find that women are dropping out, or they are dropping out before they graduate college or picking a different major, or you'll find that they would enter industry and then like maybe 1 or 2 years later, like they're like, I can't do this. And so a lot of it may or may not be due to, masculine toxicity, or it could just be like this feeling of loneliness, which is, for me, that's the case. Like I've always worked, so being in aerospace and automotive, for example, like it's a male dominant field. Like, most women don't want to talk about planes and cars, just like all males. But I mean, I was one of them. I just like fixing stuff. I didn't care what kind of stuff I fixed. I just wanted to fix stuff. So like, first of all, you don't get that interest. So it's really hard to retain women. Second of all, when you are there and you do have that interest, you don't have that common ground or that commonality, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's just that feeling that you get when you're like hanging out with your girlfriends versus like your coworkers, or like you start feeling alone, right? And so that's when like I'm just that loneliness. I if I'm feeling this way, just imagine like the women who came before me. Like, why don't I have mentors? Like, why are there not any women who that I can look up to at the previous companies that I worked at? And so I have more now, but like, is it because I'm working in a company that, that tries to, like that's where diversity is important, or is it because there's still that lack? So like part of the reason, like why I stay in engineering is because I want to, now that I'm, well into my career, like I want to be that influence so that we can get more women into these fields. Because like, like some people say it's like, oh, gender shouldn't matter. But like when you have different types of people, in a different group, and I'm going to bring up a volleyball example eventually, but like when you have different mindsets, you get things done more efficiently, you get things done more effectively. And like, I mean, like you'll see even in statistics, like you'll see in like, Fortune 500 companies, when you have a diverse C-suite, that they are more profitable than a not so diverse C-suite. So then kind of with the volleyball example, so I don't know how much you know about volleyball. I know Joe does, but like,
he does.
so like think about it this way: like a good volleyball team is not like if you have 6 setters on the court, it's not a good volleyball team. They can be the best setters in the world, but that's not a good volleyball team. A good volleyball team is you have your hitters, you have your defense, you have your setter, you have somebody that can, every now and then can make a really good serve. You have your coach. Like, you can't be successful as a team without that diversity. So, and it doesn't matter if there were women, men, height-wise, like that's like, it's just diversity. It's even just like mentality, like, like you have your defensive people thinking one way because like they're looking at the defense and trying to make sure the ball doesn't hit the ground. And you have like, your offense, so that they're focused on like, okay, how do we get the ball over that? You all have this like one goal, and you guys are bringing your minds together for that one goal. And it's the same thing with engineering, especially because as engineers, like we're problem solvers. Like our job is to solve problems, and our job would be a lot easier if we solve problems a lot more efficiently. And you do that.
I love how you said that just now. By the way, I love how you said that. I've been telling my niece who's living with us that she's trying to major in music. And surprise, I told her not to.
Oh,
it's hard. Because I don't think she has a passion for it at all. But and this is just my opinion, but I told her, I'm like, but when it comes to trying to fix things and figure out how things work in the house, her eyes light up. The fire burns, and I'm like, you need to be an engineer. You need to make things work or figure out how they work. But the way you just said it was, how did I say it again? You said the engineers really
they fix things.
They fix things.
Oh yeah, so engineers are like, we're problem solvers.
Problem solvers. That's what you said.
It doesn't matter what kind of engineer you are. You're the best. Like I've always told people, like I'm not. What do you do for a living? I solve problems.
Yes.
How do you solve problems? Well, depends on what the problem is, right?
Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate your whole message because raising 2 daughters, I do want them to see that, there are women in those fields that can do that. I want to encourage them. And if they don't want to go for it, that's fine. But I want them to see that. I've been 19 years in IT. It's very rare that I ever see another Latino in IT, right. At least in my specified field, right? So it's just like, man. So I really appreciate that. Let me see. So there was something else I wanted to make sure we cover. All right. You have a food blog. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? It's a fun one, it looks like. So
it's a very, very fun food blog. So the food blog is called Peanut Butter and Bacon. So it would be like peanut butter plus bacon. My fiance and I started it like within like the first few months of dating. So I guess we've always been passionate about food. Like at least like throughout the years, I've always been passionate about like fine dining and finding like good eats. And he, before we met, even like he was always about that as well. Healthy eating and supporting local businesses. So usually when you see a food blog, you think of like all the pretty food that looks so yummy, food porn, blah blah blah. And then like. I think initially that was what we thought about doing, right?
Okay.
So, he wanted to start this food blog. He's not the most tech savvy guy. It's just the nice.
Well, you take up all of that, so why does he need to worry about that?
He's like, I want to start this food blog website, but I don't know how to bring the URL into like a server and all this other stuff. And I've been doing it for a year, and it's impossible. And I'm like, okay, like hold my beer, like and I do it in like an hour. Like,
well, if you're like, okay, so
we set this
what do you
website up? Basically to just write about like our food recommendations in like initially started just writing food recommendations in Metro Detroit, So focusing on local, and then also like blogging about our travel. So we're both part of the reason why we're together is because we're both passionate about food and we're both passionate about traveling. So we went to Peru. When we didn't go to Peru to go to Machu Picchu, we went to Peru to go in the middle of the Amazon rainforest to try the food there and to experience like what it is, like the local stuff, right?
Wow.
It's like the Philippines, I'll tell you that. So I mean, like, for him it was an experience. For me, I'm just kind of like, really, dude, like really. But it was a great experience. So it started out as that, and then we decided, like, part of. So you guys are familiar with Anthony Bourdain?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Love Anthony Bourdain.
A lot of Anthony Bourdain, bless his heart, like,
Yeah.
A lot of Anthony Bourdain was that, and what we both admire about him is that he not just admired the food and appreciated the food, he appreciated the culture, right? Where did the food come from? What is the story behind the food? So for us, it wasn't just about taking the pictures. It was also about like getting to know the chefs, right? Getting to know the servers, getting to know like back of the house, front of the house, and you hear their stories and you become friends with them. And it's like, it evolved into this blog of not just taking pretty pictures, but taking pretty pictures of food that we believed in. So not supporting corporate, like not supporting your chains, but supporting the local people. Right. That don't get love, but they should get loved.
Right.
So like, and I think that's where I will, that's the thing that we value. And I feel like that's the, like, food bloggers in the industry, in the food industry, like, get a bad rep, man. Like the Yelp elite, they'll walk in. I've seen this before. They'll walk into the restaurant and be like, "Hey, I'm Yelp elite. You should give me free food." Like, not verbatim, but it's entitlement. So like, like part of us is like, we don't want to be called food bloggers, but we want to also help the industry through our Instagram, through our website, through like just getting people aware that, like, hey, like, we won't, we're not the type of people that would like, diss a business. Like, if we don't like it, then we just won't say anything, right? Like, it's not like Yelp or anything like that, but we're trying, we have a saying, Yelp delete, not Yelp elite.
Nice.
Yelp, because people just go to Yelp and like trash these businesses, and all they're trying to do is like trying to stay afloat. Like, if you don't, and
I'm with you. So I love to go out to places and give praise to the people that deserve it. I was telling Joe and Sandy just a couple months ago. I was like, I went out to one of the restaurants and I had to ask for the manager, and so the manager comes to the table and I'm like, "Yo, this server is like dope. She is amazing. She is fantastic." Since everything's happened and we've gone back to going to some of the restaurants, not as frequently, but I'm like, I'm looking for someone who will take care of it. And this lady right here, she's amazing. I was like, so give her a free meal, pat her on the back, make sure everyone in the back of the house knows she's giving amazing service, whatever. Just make sure you pump her up because she was amazing, right? And so I think they need that. I think it's too much. It's not enough to just, I wouldn't say not enough. You can't just bash on some of these places. These places, they're people too. They're struggling. They're getting underpaid, and I'm like, whatever we can do to help them out. So I agree.
I don't bash them publicly, but I tell people in my head. I'm just like, that was the worst service I've ever had.
That's the thing. So it's not like we don't say bad things about. We just don't put it on our blog.
Right.
The blog is very public. Like, it's it's definitely gotten a lot of attention. Like, it's getting a lot of traction. We've been featured in magazines. We've been featured like on just articles. We've done podcasts before too. Like, it's not the biggest blog in the world, but like, it's not that we have influence, right? So when you have influence, like, like, if we say it's bad, then like, people will listen to us, and that's why I'm just like, I'd rather just not say anything.
Yeah.
At least like not.
You're a better person than I am. I'll just say that. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
So
I wish I could take that road.
Like, she's more adventurous than I am, because I'm Asian, but I was adopted when I was 1.5, so I'm like full on Texan, and I don't eat a lot of Asian food, and I don't like to experiment very much. So
he barely likes to eat vegetables.
I hate veggies.
Actually,
And I'm having to do this new lifestyle, not diet lifestyle, and it's just driving me crazy because they're like, you should do the broccoli and chicken. I'm like, Oh.
Boring.
Broccoli. Oh my gosh. It's green. No way. Just give me the chicken.
Yeah, I've known Joe for over 20 years, and I cannot remember how many times he's eaten vegetables.
Yeah. Ugh. Gross. But yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah,
so
I mean, love that you're adventurous with your food. That I think it's cool.
yeah, and I really like the message about going out to the local people, the places, because I agree with you. The chains, I mean, your chains are everywhere you go, right? Like when my wife and I visit places, we're like, I want to know what the locals like here. I don't want to Chili's or McDonald's or you know what I mean. I'm like, show me what your best burger is in town. Show me where your favorite spaghetti. What's your pizza joint? You know, I want to know what the
Where
town
are the food
favorites.
trucks?
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
so you know what it is? So there's a trick to that, by the way, and this is again from all our travels. Don't use Yelp, don't use Google, use Reddit. Because Reddit,
Oh, nice.
look it up on Reddit because the locals will tell you where the spots are for sure.
Good idea, actually.
Yeah, and it has not steered us in the wrong direction.
That's cool. I didn't
like
even
that.
thought about that. I'm a Yelper. And the fact that I'm trying to find places, not that I
You
don't
look
ever
like a Yelper.
comment on anything.
I
Shut your face.
mean, like, it's like a good, so I'm not saying like Yelp is completely like horrible. I'm just saying
I feel like it's just too volatile, right?
very
like
volatile, right? Like, I
Yeah.
get the purpose of Yelp. I just don't like it when people use it to bash businesses, right?
Yeah.
It's a rating system versus like with Reddit, it's not really a rating system. It's like, oh,
Right, it's live. You get
the other
live
thing,
data.
Too, is that's bad about it is that you can pay to get higher in those ratings, and
Yes.
that's really nice.
yes, and then
Come on.
pay to get your bad reviews removed.
Right.
It's
Oh my
horrible.
gosh.
It's so
like,
horrible.
Is that really a rating system then?
Right.
You know, so
No,
on one
and
hand,
industry.
on one hand, you look at Yelp and you're like, you're so terrible. But on the business side, you're like, what a great idea.
It's like, okay, yeah, you can make money that way, yeah.
So Carolyn, I'm usually, and not saying no one else, we're all pretty outgoing actually on the show, right? So I usually, honestly, when my wife and I go out, we don't have a problem just grabbing some random person off the street and being like, hey, where should we go or whatever, where's your place? And so
That's awesome.
yeah, so because the hotels sometimes they give you the places. I just feel weird. It's kind of like Yelp. The hotel people, I feel like it's kind of like Yelp also. But if you really want to know, you have to just find some random person, and not near the hotel, but like when you go to the mall and you just be like, hey, where's your favorite spot? Where do you take your wife? Where's the family? Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So I like that. You recently had. I didn't queue it up, but you gave me an article where you guys were featured as you provided a destination for this article, right?
Yeah, so we were food experts. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about food experts, but
Own it, girl, own it.
food panelists. So it was Our Detroit. They reached out to us, and so they created a bucket list for a bunch of things that's for Detroit, for basically Metro Detroit, on like places you should go for drinks, places you should go for food, places for the arts, like for like live music. And so like you have your main editors, and then you have like your featured like experts, panelists. And so we were one of those panelists giving our food recommendations, which is like this little blurb, but it was still really cool to say that we're in a magazine, guys. Like, it was cool. Like,
It should be. You should totally own it. Like, you need to toot your horn. When you have good stuff happen to you, you have to toot it because you know what? No one else does.
yeah, but then I'm arrogant, right? Maybe it's this imposter.
I don't know that you're arrogant. I haven't felt arrogance come off. I think it's okay to be assured. There was this man who taught me one time at the previous big place here in town that I worked at. He used to tell me, he's like, look, he goes, when you work part of a project, and I didn't do this. So when I worked as part of projects, very rarely would I ever mention the project that I was a part of. And he would tell me, he's like, you need to put that stuff down on your reviews or on your resumes and stuff like that, whatever. He goes, and act like you own it, because they're not going to confirm that. But if you own it, you get considered. You get the spots in the projects that you want to work on. He goes, when you don't, the other person is. And there's no rule that says both of you can't say that you owned it or were a part of it. You both contributed, or the whole team contributed. Everyone should own it, was his point.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of the same lesson here, is like, you own it. It's yours. Take it. And,
Well, and I think part of that is like the upbringing where we don't really want to be this, like we work our butts off, but we don't really want the recognition for working our butts off. So
I hear it, but
You
if
were
you don't
wrong.
get it, it goes to someone else,
right,
and you deserve it more.
Not anymore, but
Oh.
I will let people know. Oh yeah,
You're like, that is my
picture.
watermark on there. You
I
see
took
that?
that picture. Why are you not like? You better tag me. What the
You
hell?
I get the photo cred, y'all. I get the photo cred.
Right, exactly. But yeah.
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, where do you see the blog going? Where is there a future that you want for it, Carolyn?
I think I don't know. It's evolved. So we started this 2019, so right before the pandemic.
Okay.
So I mean, again, it's kind of evolved into. So we had to like evolve it into like include our cooking. So when everybody was quarantining, you know, it would include our cooking, and we also had like. So Ryan's my fiance. He's really into spicy foods, and again, you know, we're kind of locked up, and so he does these like spicy food challenges, and so we would record him like doing these like spicy food challenges, right? So it kind of became that.
See, I keep telling this guy we need to do those too.
He's his tolerance. So Ryan, just to kind of give his background, he's Caucasian, and like for some reason, like but he eats like an Asian man, like he loves an Asian. No, he likes his spice level.
He and Joe must have switched spots.
He likes like his spice level to like the hottest of the hot for like my Thai friends, right? They're like that level. So like he does all these challenges. He's not phased. He's turning red, but he's not phased. So it's like it's not like I don't know. We stopped it because it wasn't funny anymore. Like I'm like, oh, he's supposed to be like like.
Oh, but he just eats it. Oh, it's like that guy on the YouTube. He's the blue-eyed, tan skin, and he eats hot junk like it's nothing, like it's candy. Literally, it's just like, and I'm like, that's probably gonna tear up.
Yeah.
But
Right.
No, yeah.
So it started out that, then it evolved into that. Now it's evolved into like supporting local businesses again, especially after the pandemic, where your local businesses are struggling.
Yes.
So I think eventually, I don't know. Like I said, we were kind of both into him especially. Like we love the Anthony Bourdain-esque type of like, how do we highlight food? So maybe it'll evolve into that. Hopefully,
Wow.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have our own TV show one day.
Right.
I don't want to be an engineer anymore. I don't know.
And I want to talk about the engineering stuff, but first, real quick, last question on the food blog.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the name come from?
Oh yeah. So it was actually. So it was during one of our first dates, or like it was like our first couple months of dating, and we were just kind of talking about like stuff we grew up with, and like it was really weird because like we were talking about our favorite sandwiches, and I'm not a big sandwich person, but I told him like like I really liked like peanut butter and banana sandwiches, and like sometimes when you add bacon, like it sounds really good, and he's kind of like, oh my god, I'm like what? Like, those are my favorite sandwiches growing up too. I'm like, shut up. So literally, we were just talking, right? This is like late at night, getting to know each other type of thing. So, but the next day, he's like, hey, I'm going to make you dinner. And so he makes us peanut butter and bacon, and banana sandwiches. So there's definitely like, I don't know how to put banana in our name. So then when we're coming up with food blog names, we're like, maybe we're Detroit's foodie couple, but then, it's kind of pretentious because like we can't really claim that, even though people already call us that.
Yeah.
So we're just like, peanut butter bacon, like with peanut butter and bacon, because like they're two things that you don't traditionally see like together, but when you combine them, like they're awesome. And that's like
that's what I was about to say.
Right.
Thinking about it, oh, it sounds tasty actually.
It's very tasty, but then it also kind of describes us because like, so I told you about like my background. Not saying that he's the complete opposite in that like he's like less passionate, but he lived and grew up in like Michigan his whole life, whereas I lived all over the U.S. and I lived in the Philippines and different places. Like, so it's like two of us, like,
yeah,
who would
so
never
for him
expect
to
us.
have his like to be able to handle the spice, and he's from
Michigan,
America.
Yeah, it's actually really bizarre. Like, I'm like, I mean, I can't. I'm not a spice person, so so when you blog, like he posts all the spicy foods and I post all the sweets because he's very anti-sugar. Like that's so that's kind of like how peanut butter bacon came. Like you bring two things that you don't think will go well together, and they do. So
wow.
So everyone, peanut butter and bacon. We'll talk more about it later, but also they have an Instagram. You can go check out some stuff there. We'll bring that. I'm sure we'll get a plug on that later.
So
but
do
just
you
so
do?
that's
Are
there.
you just taking the pictures with just your iPhone, or?
Yeah, it's just their iPhone. But like you still have like there's this lighting. So sometimes the videos there's like when he makes the videos, he does like I don't know, he shines the light on it. He's got an Android. I have an iPhone. But then we kind of make sure that we have good lighting. So like we would
it's
sit
always about the lighting.
Right.
That's
we would
right.
sit in the chairs right by the window.
Mhm.
So we get better pictures of the food. That's Ryan. He's a dork.
Aw.
He's a dork. Hey, Ryan, the dork.
I'm the bigger dork though. Like
Okay, nice save. Nice save.
Nice one. Nice one.
I am the bigger dork.
He's like, did you just call me a dork on the air?
He's like the other
On
one.
national TV.
National.
Right.
With all of
I
our.
mean, I'm the astrophysics here, you know. Like, I have the one with the astrophysics degree and like the engineering degree. I'm definitely the bigger dork, and I watch anime.
So do I.
awesome.
A lot. Okay, I'm putting up the Instagram into the comments. So earlier I posted up the link to their food blog. If you guys want to click on that and save it, there's also the link for their Instagram as well. But you can also find the Instagram on their food blog as well. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Good. Okay.
Now,
We don't have too much time, Caroline. So I just gotta ask. Like, I just want to know, like, how in the world. I think I kind of know, but where in the world did you go for astrophysics? And especially knowing now that you went from music and you transitioned into astrophysics.
It was kind of like that. They were actually like in tandem. So I told you, like, my mom wanted me to be a doctor, right? So I thought I was gonna be a doctor, but I knew I was gonna major in physics. Like, I knew that was because like you can take, whatever. When I was like, you can take major whatever and then become a doctor. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like my passion
not a big deal.
for like I
I just have to do this, and it's cool. I got it.
right.
Like this. I'm gonna get my astrophysics degree, guys.
So like growing up, my mom always encouraged us to read books, and I was like, I was actually very introverted, so I read a lot of books. So I read a lot of books about the solar system, and my favorite planet was Neptune. Still is my favorite planet because it's really pretty. And I read books about pandas, right? So I went to the library to read about solar system and pandas, and I just became more fascinated. Actually, I became fascinated with both. But you can't study pandas in school, but you can study, astronomy in school, right?
Yeah.
So then that kind of led. So while that was happening, I was reading books. My mom made me play the piano. She made me play the violin. But I eventually grew to love the violin, just the way that I eventually grew to love physics, especially like in high school where I had an amazing physics teacher, right? So she made things like a lot more fun. Like she made the test, like she put everybody's names on the test and it made it feel like real life scenarios and like real life problems that you're trying to solve. So that's how I started having this passion for like physics and music at the same time. And I don't know if you know, but like physics and music are actually very highly correlated, or math.
Yes, Star Trek taught me that. I know. Yes.
Oh, Star Trek. So I went to Pomona College, and the writer of Star Trek actually went to Pomona College, and a lot of the names, like the Borg, for example, is the name of one of the dorms at Pomona. And the 47, it's all Pomona College. Look it up, dude. Like, I'm serious. I was not a Trekkie, but after I went there, like, I'm just like, oh, okay, now I get all the references and stuff like that. But yeah, look it up. So it's what was I gonna say now? So that's,
I'm sorry, I derailed you a little bit.
So like when you talk about frequencies, when you talk about music and how to make sound, it's like different frequencies. You learn about that in linguistics and like the wave sound. Physics and music were actually like they're supposed to be harmonized. So to me, having studied both physics and music in college made a lot of sense. There's actually also a physics of music class that like I helped TA, and like I actually. Like if I, again, one of those like passions and like what's my next hobby, like I thought about being like an adjunct professor, and that would be the class I would want to teach, is a physics and music class. So it's like, so where was I going with this? So that's my
outer space, I think.
Right. Oh yeah. So,
quite literally.
So I canned that doctor idea. I really thought I was going to be an astrophysicist. I applied. I took the test. I applied. I got into schools. but like, or well, I didn't get into school. I was in the middle of applying, and I went to my advisor, and I basically said, I'm like, I did research for 3 years, and I researched on black holes. Basically, I don't know if you guys know about AGN, active galactic nuclei. They're like the black holes in the middle of the galaxies, and they basically.
I didn't know it was called that, but I knew about it. I knew that
Yes,
every major solar system has, or almost all solar systems have a black hole in the center.
I think the belief now is that there is a black hole in all of the galaxies, but again, we haven't classified all the galaxies completely. Like you have your irregular galaxies, and like, is there a black hole? Or is it really a galaxy? But that's like that's like a whole hour to talk. But anyways, I was doing research on the black holes, and I really liked the research. I told my advisor I really like the research, but I'm like really alone. And so she's kind of like, okay, like what else? What do you like and what do you not like? So I kind of explained to her, like, I need to be around people. Like, I need to socialize. I want to work in teams. Like, I like being technically challenged. Like, that I enjoyed was just, like, I learned things that I didn't think, like, would actually force me to think. And actually, like, I found, just find, like, very fascinating. And so, like, after this conversation, my advisor was like, okay, you are actually a closet engineer. So she gives me papers. Transferred to like an engineering school after I graduate. So it was a 2-year engineering school called dual degree program, and she's like, "You're a closet engineer. You're going to be an engineer." So that's how I became an engineer, and that's how.
Alexis, Mijita, if you're watching, please reach out to Caroline, okay? And when you're back in town, I'm going to invite you to the house. And then I don't know if your fiance travels with you or not, but you will come. You will inspire my children and my niece, and they will become future engineers too.
That is what I'm hoping to do. Again, I'm very pro like women in STEM. I have nieces too. Like I don't buy them Barbie dolls. I buy them like Legos.
See, and we did all that stuff with the girls growing up, but
right. I mean, and it's okay. I grew up with like a lot of like I have all my cousins in Filipino households. Like you don't just grow up with your siblings; you grow up with like your cousins and stuff. And most of my cousins were men, so like that's how I got into the video games and like the Legos and like building and trying to fix stuff. But that's all like from the nurturing side of things. So that's why I'm doing that for my nieces. Like I'm like, here's all like your sides. There's like a book called General Relativity for Babies. So all my friends that are getting like that are having babies, I'm giving them those books.
Oh, nice.
I will send you that link. Like it's like a whole slew of books. So like quantum mechanics for babies, general Newtonian mechanics for babies. Like I'm like trying to influence my friends.
SJ needs these books, Joe.
Yes, she does.
Yes.
You know
Joe's got a brand new niece, a brand new baby niece. So yes.
So I've been even like my friends who actually don't even know much about like, Newtonian mechanics or general relativity. They start reading this. I'm like, oh, that's how that works. Like, yeah, actually.
Gosh, you dumb friends.
Quantum mechanics actually involves one atom going into different.
What that crap kind of
I love it.
You need new friends. That's what you need, Caroline.
I'm all about I wrote out of this.
See, oh man, that's the kind of stuff. Like I will sit there and listen, and I have books in the other room. I have Brian Greene, and I've got Einstein stuff, and I've got all these kind of books because I love learning about this stuff specifically, and it blows my mind because it's so enormous. It's so crazy. The macro scale and the micro scale and the connection. I'm like, man, how is this not blowing anyone else's mind? I don't understand. And so I'll sit there with my wife and I'm explaining stuff, and then she'll start going to sleep. I'm like, wake up, I'm not done yet. I still got about another hour. Okay. And she's like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So her eyes glaze over. She's like,
okay. Oh wait, can I tell the black hole story from my physics teacher? Did it tell you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is how you make physics cool, or like science cool. So maybe not cool, but like kind of.
Don't backtrack. It's cool.
More interesting.
So in my I took general relativity. So I told you I specialize more in like the black hole, the macroscopic scale versus like the quantum scale of physics. So I took general relativity and learned about all this like complicated stuff. And so one day my Professor Moore, like he's great, like very, very knowledgeable. He specialized in like gravity and black holes as well. He's like, so what's the best way to kill a person, or the most sadistic way to kill a person? And we're like, where is this coming from? We're like how is this like gonna like is he telling us something? He's like, so the best way to kill a person, or the most sadistic way to kill a person, is to throw them into a black hole. And we're like, well, why? And they're like, so if you throw them into a black hole and then reach the event horizon, and I hope I'm getting this right. So there's this phenomenon called time dilation. So the faster that you travel in the speed of light, the slower the time seems and perceives, right? So
Right.
We
event
watched
horizon
that
of the
like on Dust. Remember
what?
Oh yeah, that's right.
the short? We saw a short film and it was called Dust. And it was based on that.
No,
Okay,
Dust
yeah.
is the Sci-Fi Channel. It was called Alone.
Alone, yes.
Oh.
So she was sending messages and she was getting them back fast, but on his side of it, it was taking like 15, 20 years or 5
Yeah.
years
Right.
or something like that.
But she was communicating with him in the his
Right.
past.
Go ahead.
So yeah,
Keep going.
So the
Yeah.
event horizon is kind of like the path of no return. So they kind of define it as like the radius of the black hole, because we don't really know what the radius of the black hole is. But it's called the event horizon because it's the border where once the light, so the fastest thing in the world, hits that, it cannot escape. Right.
Right.
So he's like, throw it in an event horizon, and because of time dilation, the perception of time is like infinity, and so they'll be screaming while getting spaghettified. I don't know if you guys know about the spaghettification effect, getting stretched. They'll be screaming for eternity while getting stretched out. So to them, they're going to be hearing their screams for the rest of their lives. And we're
It's
sitting
really
there,
sadistic, actually. I should not be
we're
laughing.
like, why are you telling them? They're like, that's really cool. And again, like, you made it like sciencey, but like, why are you telling us?
It's really
Like-
morbid.
like I have the same thing. But anyways, that's what happens when you know a lot about science.
So they're infinitely dying, but never going
Never
to be
dead.
dead.
Right, infinitely dying. You can infinitely hear the screams for infinite eternity, if you want to call it that. It's
So-
horrible.
So we're gonna have to wrap up because I want to be respectful of time, Caroline. But I do want to read John's comment real quick because his was very. John says, "My daughter's going to CSUSB."
Okay.
California State University, Santa Barbara.
Yeah, Santa Barbara, right?
Oh, fancy! All right, for physics, and she's trying to go into astrophysics. She got offered a summer intern in New Zealand, but she's trying to get intern for NASA or JPL.
Go to
wow.
New Zealand. Come on. Who wouldn't want to visit the Shire? Golly.
And the skies from New Zealand are amazing. Isn't there a telescope in New Zealand too?
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, I think there's
I
like
wouldn't
one of
be
the
surprised.
world's
Because
giant
it's-
telescopes in New Zealand. So, and because
It might
New
be
Zealand
like
has the
an
most
array.
clear sky, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Maybe,
But the-
maybe it's a radio telescope. I don't know.
But the woman's goal is she wants to go to NASA or JPL. Any tips, Carolyn? Any words?
Well, what's she doing in New Zealand? Is if she's doing astrophysics in New Zealand, I should go to New Zealand.
Right.
You have more opportunities to work for NASA and JPL than you will to go to New Zealand.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was like, you
So,
need to go to New
It's
Zealand.
very competitive. To add more to my stuff that you guys are gonna think is cool, I actually applied to be an astronaut. So it's
Oh my
it's harder
gosh.
it's like 100 times harder to get into the astronaut program than it is to get into Harvard. And so I did get
Wow.
into Harvard. I did not get into the astronaut program, but I did make it to the first round.
What? I'm sorry. What degree did you get at Harvard?
I know I got in. I didn't go.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy jeez.
No.
I'm like, are you going to be our next president soon? Of
No. I thought about that, and I mean, like, you know what?
course you did.
Like, I did.
I
I'm like,
believe
you
it.
know what? I don't want the stress.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like, look how stressful. Like, you know how much crap you get to be president?
Yeah.
That's
She
one of my
runs the
daughter's
observatory
goals.
at the college, and it's not Santa Barbara; it's San Bernardino.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Got it. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Carolyn, you've been great with us. I want to make sure that we at least give you some time here to give a shout out to whatever it is you want to. So during this time of the show, we usually give our guests the opportunity to take the screen over and kind of address the audience and let everybody know whatever it is you want to do. If you have a favorite cookie recipe, if you have a message that you want to share with everyone, if you want to point people to go do this or that, this is the time we want to give to you so that you can do that. As soon as I figure out how to, there we go.
Oh, not me.
Not you.
Oh my gosh, my favorite cookie recipe. So obviously, like, I just really want to reiterate that, especially now that the pandemic is slowly, hopefully, coming to an end, or hopefully at the tail end of it. So please, completely like support your local business as much as possible. They need more of the help than the corporate does. I'm not saying don't support corporate. I'm just saying support your local businesses more, especially like your local restaurants. Be kind to your servers. Like,
Yes.
they're trying to make ends meet as much as you are. Please follow our blog, especially if you live in the Michigan, Southeast Michigan area. We have a lot of good food recommendations, and you can always reach out to us on our Instagram. So it's peanutbutter_bacon is our Instagram account, and we also have our Facebook and as well as our website. So, Jaime should, I think you pulled that up already earlier.
Yep.
What else? Oh, pandas are awesome. I think they're the best animal in the world. You can't change my mind. And Lindsay Sterling is the best makeup artist in the world.
All right.
And check out our article on Our Detroit. I have actually the magazine here. This is what the magazine looks like. So I don't know what page number it's on, but I think there's also a link. It's for more food recommendations. Again, we try to support our local businesses who have become friends to us, and not only friends but family.
Nice. You got a new follower. I just followed you.
Thank you.
So I know
there's food there too.
So I know I'm looking at my phone, but I'm copying the link and putting it in our chat, Joe, so that you can put it in the comments while I do the closeouts, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. All right, so I put the link in. It'll be in our comments here in a moment, everyone. So if again, her Caroline's Instagram, the food blog, and here in a moment the Detroit Magazine's recommendation. I don't know if I said that right, Caroline.
Our magazine.
Your magazine, sorry.
Our HOUR.
Oh, hour. Sorry, the hour. Okay.
Time hour.
Oh, gotcha. So all three of those links are going to be in the comments for you guys to go click on and save and read them and check them out, and make sure you follow her on everything. Caroline,
amazing.
Ran out of time.
Well, that just means you have to come back. So that's
maybe I will.
Yeah, we'll need a part 2 because we didn't even cover the musical parts. We didn't cover the engineering, and those are 2 areas that there was just too much to cover. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
We didn't cover volleyball. I heard Joe that you play volleyball. So
I play volleyball, and in fact, I'm going to be missing. We're playing sand volleyball now, and I'm going to be missing like 4 weeks of it because I have things going on. It's
boo. We start sand season. I think next week.
You're missing 4 weeks of volleyball because what's going on?
Well, I have like photo shoots, and then I'm going to New York City to pick up my daughter.
Oh, that's right.
We're traveling home and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's
Sheesh. Sorry,
lots of fun. Yeah.
So, Caroline, we are going to hop you into the green room. Stick around there until the show's over. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back, okay?
I'm good.
All right.
Thanks again for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks so much.
Super thanks.
Awesome. Wow. I'm glad I hopped on because you wouldn't have been able to handle all of that talent that she has. So.
I don't know. I think what I'm glad that you came on for was because I'm sure I would have forgotten to ask to bring up her topics first, because I'd have been so excited to go over what I wanted to go over,
right.
Which would have made the show just last entirely on astrophysics. No one would have been watching because people don't want to hear me talk and all that stuff. So I'm glad you came on to help me out with that.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Everyone, so happy that y'all came to watch and hang out with us tonight. I hope that we entertained you. I hope that you got some knowledge dropped on you.
Or that you realize that how passionate you are not, because she has it all.
I think honestly, Joe, that's like the major takeaway tonight, to be honest with you. Like when you said, that thing you said earlier has just been reverberating through me tonight. Right, when you're like the dash in between the dates. Yeah. Like she's not even done. She's not done. Good God, this woman, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's hard to put the words out there, guys. So listen up. Sandy couldn't make it on. She got tired and some things, maybe, I don't know. I'm just making up excuses. But she couldn't be here tonight. Maybe the baby was needing some attention. But either way, tomorrow night over on Sandy Talk Sheet, she is going to be hosting a panel over there where we're going to be discussing things such as toxic masculinity. We're going to be talking about
a lot of the femininity.
No, don't say that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll tell you later after the show what happened. Anyway, toxic masculinity.
Strike that from the record, please.
We're going to be talking about Jada and Will again. We're going to be talking about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. that's been going on. We are on day 10 today, and there's been some crazy stuff that's been coming up. Not so much crazy stuff too, but some interesting bits. But she's going to be talking about a lot of those different things with several of us tomorrow. She's also got author J.D. McCabe coming on. He's the author of The Third Gift, which, if you guys remember or not, his wife and his mother-in-law were poisoning him for 2 years, and his protein powder. They were giving him arsenic. So anyway, he's going to be on her show tomorrow too, talking about things. But I hope you guys had a great night. Joe, thanks for coming on. I know you're busy. I know you're tired too. And everyone else, y'all get some rest too. And remember the big thing from Caroline tonight. Go after your dreams or do something. I think that's it. Do something.
Yeah.
Okay?
She learns a new hobby every year.
I like that. I like that.
So that's awesome.
All right. Let me find the right outro. There we go. Love you guys. Have a good night. We'll see you back here next Monday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Peace.
Peace.